prove to yourself that you have the strength and the courage to be free.
Join the
in a shithole! I mean, Birmingham is a fucking shithole!
I see a red door and I want it painted black. No colors anymore, I want them to turn black. I see the girls go by dressed in their summer clothes. I have to turn my head until my darkness goes. I see a line of cars and they are painted black.
Helldivers 2 has had some of the wildest game launches I've seen in a minute. It wasn't just a game, but for a moment there, it became a full-blown phenomenon. And then a firestorm, then a comeback, and then another firestorm. I'm not gonna lie, trying to predict where Helldivers 2 was going in the first year, it was like predicting a meteor shower during a hurricane while juggling live grenades. It was extremely chaotic, and it makes sense too. This is a game that smashed records, hitting nearly 500,000 people on Steam alone. It's PlayStation's biggest PC launch ever, and it got review bombed, and it made global news. But anyways, well, let's get into it.
I fucking love freedom!
February 2024, Arrowhead Game Studios, the people who made the original Helldivers, which you should totally play, by the way. It's fun. Dropped a sequel to the original, which had a extremely brutal co-op. On top of that, being extremely satire, and they changed the point of view from top down to third person. Now, the Helldivers 2 is one of those rare games that didn't just come onto the market willy-nilly. No, it exploded instantly. It's global sensation. As I stated before, smashing record sales for PlayStation Studios and blowing all expectations. Okay, it blew all expectations in the dust, and on top of that, pretty much all the Steam reviews skyrocketed to being overwhelmingly positive, which is, from what I know, not too common, especially with certain games that start with an O. Streamers were playing it, pretty much every streamer was playing it, every YouTuber was trying to get their hooks on it, including me, and it was just spreading like a gospel or a plague, if you really want to imagine it like that way, be negative. It was a really fun time. It was, everybody wanted to spread managed democracy. And I believe the reason for this was just the gameplay. The visceral feeling of calling down like an orbital strike or those desperate scrambles for extraction. The sheer beauty of the chaos of fighting alongside just your friends or just random people against the clankers or the bugs, the rad roaches. Then there was the Galactic War 2, where it was just an ongoing fight, kind of like another game called Planetside 2, which you should also play. But it wasn't just, the Galactic War wasn't just, actually no, I shouldn't say wasn't, it isn't just a bunch of disconnected missions. No, it's all a community-driven campaign where each victory, each liberated planet actually mattered, supposedly. And I do believe this is one of the main driving forces that actually pushed the game, because everybody was like, I'm doing my part, and everybody was just having fun with each other, you know, especially with the amount of bugs at the beginning of the game. Oh my god, I had this one bug, I don't have the clip now, but I had this one bug where I literally became an anomaly, and the frames, every time a bug would walk near me, because my frames are dropping so low, they would start moving in slow motion, and I gotta find it. I didn't find it, but that entire beginning, it was the honeymoon phase. But obviously, with the game as big as that, and with them not expecting that many people to want to play their game or just play their game in general, they started to have major server issues. I'll tell you what, them servers are buckling and groaning like a wooden ship. They were not doing well. A lot of players would come home from work or just come home in general, and they'd get on Helldivers 2 and oh boy, I'm ready to play. Server capacity at max. And it was pretty much a fight on its own just to get into the game. Now, Arrowhead, to their credit, they were pretty open about it, unlike other game studios. They owned up to the issues, they worked on the crazy ass bugs and fixes, and the community was still kind of going crazy over the honeymoon phase. So they were mostly patient, but the cracks were starting to appear. Beyond the server issues, early discussions and grumbles about the balance started to surface. Certain weapons, the railgun, felt almost mandatory, and some enemies like the bile skewer felt like complete bullet sponges. And because of all of this, the devs were kind of scrambling to keep up with the game's explosive growth and then pulling out patches out of their ass and bugs to stop the amount of bullshit heading their way. And the initial honeymoon phase was quickly ending. Okay, now we're getting to the good stuff. The time hell froze over. May 2024, a month that will forever live in Helldivers 2 in just straight infamy. Sony, the publisher, dropped an absolute bombshell. PC players would soon be required to link their Steam accounts to a PlayStation Network, which doesn't sound bad at first. But, mind you, for months before this, you did not need one. And PSN in a lot of countries literally just wasn't a thing. So, it was not a good time. The community's reaction wasn't really just negative. It was like an explosion of just volcanic proportions. It was just betrayal, was just crying from the mass. Anti-consumer just screamed just everywhere. Steam reviews nosedived from overwhelmingly positive to overwhelmingly negative in only a couple of days. And I think you guys need to understand, this was like tens of thousands of just straight negative reviews. It was literally like a digital protest on a scale that's not seen often at all. And it was terrible too, because those players and the people in the countries where PSN was literally just not available, they didn't have access to it. They were locked out of a game that they already paid for. It got so bad that Valve started giving out refunds no matter how much time you played, which is rare for Valve to actually do anything. The backlash was so massive and so damaging that Sony also actually had to do something. They had to blink. It was a pretty crazy reversal. They announced they were scrapping the mandatory PSN leaking, which was a crazy win for just the community in general. But on top of uniting the community, it also kind of pushed the community away from the big bad company. And a lot of players are also left wondering if a lot more corporate meddling would happen. Now, fast forward a little bit to this month in 2025, Sony has mostly rolled back those region lock restrictions on Helldivers and a bunch of other PC games, but yeah, it was bad. They did release a review bomb cape though, so that was nice. Anyways, as we all know, with live service games, patch notes, not every single person is going to be happy. In August 24th, they brought the Escalation of Freedom update. And while it added new mission types and enemies, it also packed a round of weapon nerfs and that hit some fan favorites, especially the flamethrower. I really don't know why they did that to the flamethrower. I don't know. But the community was obviously still kind of jumpy considering the recent Sony bullshit that happened. And the Breaker Incinerate shotgun was also one that gets... I don't know why they nerfed that either. Yeah, the community didn't like that. I was a part of that. They didn't like it. They had very strong accusations about them nerfing the fun, and that was flying around like crazy. I was also spreading that shit personally. And again, here comes the next review bombing of Helldivers 2. Now, it wasn't nearly as bad as when PSN fucked up, you know, but the developers found themselves in a super tough spot trying to balance the game for its long-term health while dealing with a player base that definitely wasn't shy about voicing its displeasure over any changes that made favorite ways to play less powerful. But Arrowhead kept going. They kept releasing quality of life improvements, fixing bugs, because apparently they just kept popping up over and over again, more than usual, tackling performance issues, trying to make some of the less used stratagems more appealing. They were constantly tweaking enemy and weapon balance, sometimes directly based on what the community was saying, but for some players that feeling was... yeah, the devs. Some players felt the devs were out of touch, or even worse, actively trying to make the game less enjoyable, and it was a constant, like, balanced tightrope walk. What? And now we go into 2025. The Illuminates obviously came by. They were cool at first, and then they became kind of underwhelming until later on. That was pretty recently. The Galactic War kept on with its usual ups and downs. The Heart of Democracy update in early 2025 brought a temporary boost in player numbers. Some good vibes introducing the Sea Soldiers, which I really think we should have more of. I want them, please. Please let me. You know what they should do? They should call them. We should have a stratagem where we can call in like an ODST drop of just Sea Troopers, please. But now we go to the most recent update, or I guess if you dive a little bit deeper into the most recent update, which is on the Super Earth Defense Force, which is what I like to call it. But a lot of people were starting to get frustrated about how the Galactic War narrative felt, and it felt a little too manipulated for some people. The real flashpoint was the defense of equality on Sea Mega City in May 25th. It was literally last month. Players fought tooth and nail, but the liberation progress just seemed to stall, often getting stuck at ridiculously frustrating 99%. No, we go in the decibels now. 99.97%. And people were getting seriously annoyed, especially in the Chinese player community, who felt like their efforts were being deliberately blocked. Accusations started flying that Arrowhead, or maybe the infamous Game Master Joel, if you don't know who Joel is, look him up, I'm not explaining it, was scripting the outcomes and kind of stopping a player-led victory in that city to push the story towards a different ending. Like Prosperity City. Oh my god, why is that so hard to say? Anyways, this led to, you're never gonna guess it, another review bomb, and it was mostly from players who felt like the story was kind of being forced on them, and Arrowhead tried to explain that the defense campaign couldn't actually hit 100% while the invasion was still active until the event timer ran out, but the misunderstandings, some apparently made worse by mistranslations in the Chinese version of the game, just wouldn't go away. So the whole mess even made the news in China, with the local news reporting on now players worldwide were teaming up to defend Cyber Shanghai. The whole fucking Cyber Shanghai, that's a cool name. But the whole thing in general really also just highlighted once again how incredibly passionate just this entire community player base is, but also massive challenges about managing a live, evolving story with an audience that's this invested. Eventually, Super Earth forces, players included, won the Battle of Super Earth, and the Illuminate retreated like the fucking bitch boy squids they are. But the whole equality on sea situation, it was kind of dumb. I'm not gonna lie. Y'all remember that time? Like, I think it was like the middle of last year. This is kind of it's still on topic, where the game dropped down to like 10,000 players, like 13,000 players on Steam. Yeah, that was scary. I don't think they're ever gonna let this game drop down that low again, because that was when it was dry as fuck. There was really no content. There was nothing really to do. No real war bonds coming out for months on end, and it was just boring in general. And on top of that, a lot of players were complaining that the game was just straight up too easy. I was partly one of them, but I also didn't really care that much. I kind of just stopped playing and went to go play something else. So. Now, the Heart of Democracy update in May 2025, which literally just happened last month, did spark another big comeback, showing that there's still a lot of people willing to play Helldivers 2 when there's a bunch of compelling new stuff arise. But my question is whether or not Arrowhead can keep that momentum going and navigate the tricky waters of player expectations while trying to keep the entire world filled with people that are loyal for years to come, kind of like what they did with the first game. But whether they like it or not, they are in it for the long haul. They signed up for this shit. So here we are, mid-2025. Helldivers 2 has gone up from the trenches from what it was before to mostly positive on Steam. That's because the community went back and pulled a reverse review bomb, which I have never seen done before personally, where they went back and basically just pushed it back up. I love this community. I love this. This is the only community I've known that actually like reward. It's amazing. It's everything. It's amazing. I do think part of that is because of Arrowhead's communication style, on top of it being a PvE game. You know, it's a double-edged sword. Sometimes it helps calm things down and build a good relationship, but other times the casual comments are put under a microscope and blown up from a for a passionate player base to kind of just run rampant with it. And let's be honest, sometimes the community is pretty volatile. The developers are clearly trying and ongoing with ongoing updates and bug fixes. So, and the new content is still rolling out. I don't think we're ever going to go back to another content drought. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I think that's everything. I probably missed something. I probably did. I don't care. The community's good. The game's pretty good. The new Warbond, that gun is actually really good. I'm not even gonna lie. It's fun. 10 out of 10 would recommend.